Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me, if I can do a quick follow-up on the vehicle issue on a couple fronts. I agree with you. I think on the short term or short distance, it's hard to get the economics out of it for fuel efficiency. But on your long-haul trucks, are you looking on those? Because some of the Postal Service, you know, the large semi-truck movements, I mean, that's where the real money is in energy savings on vehicles. Vehicles, not necessarily until they get into mass production and go down a big, long path there. But trucks, in the sense of long haul, are you looking at that piece of the equation?
Yes, Senator, we are. We have we do two things with what we call the heavy fleet. We've got our own fleet of vehicles, 2-ton, all the way up to, like you say, tractor trailers. We are working with the industry to have the latest as far as technology. Matter of fact, in New York City, we operate 30 electric 2-ton vehicles right now, like a big bread truck, and we've been very successful, we think, with using that technology. The majority of our long-haul heavy fleet is done by contract, and we work with our contractors on that too. There are incentives in their contract to make their vehicles more energy efficient. If you see when you're driving along the road today, these skirts that they've been putting on the trailers, right. All of our contractors are moving in that direction because we find just a simple addition like that helps fuel economy. So we incent people and we work closely with them.
Have you thought of, on the vehicle end of it, and I forget the number, you said 185,000, 200,000 vehicles, just going out to the market and saying, look, here's what we need. We need to replace this vehicle fleet. We're open to lease, purchase. You know, like when we got heavy into updating all our computer systems, for example, when I was mayor, you know, the departments came and said, you know, buy all this stuff. And we said, we ain't buying this stuff because the changeover that occurs, but also we figured we could get a better deal with the companies because they would use us as to bulk up their production and therefore cut their costs and do other product sales off the same frame. In this case, it'd be the same frame, and ours it was the same computer technology. Have you looked at just saying to the private sector, rather than you all trying to, you know, I sometimes worry, to be very frank with you, with government and quasi-government trying to always analyze what's the best result, rather than just going out to the private sector and saying, okay, this is what we got. We got 185,000 vehicles we need to purchase. Here's the parameters. Give us your best deal on what you can do to bring us in. Even though your hesitation will be, well, we don't have the money. Well, you don't know what they can offer. So until you ask that question, and they're hungry out there. So have you approached it that way?
Here's what we've been doing. We have been working through the technologies just to get an idea of how well it works within our organization. One of the things we learned from the vehicles we have now, we call them long life, and the original intent was to try to keep them for 25 years, was when we bought them, we tested them in Arizona. Arizona is not a real good place to test vehicles.
Come up to Alaska.
If you need them to be in the snow. Well, hey, I'm from Pittsburgh. We're not as snowy as you, but we have our obstacles going up and down hills in the wintertime. But at any rate, what we're doing is this: we're looking to figure out what the best technology is. Now, we are working with private industry. We've had General Motors working with us on the fuel, on the hydrogen fuel. We've had a number of different companies in on electric, Ford, Chrysler, and a couple other companies. So we're trying to figure out the best things. The key thing for us right now is this: we have got to get a good idea going forward, to the chairman's point, about what the technologies look like 4, 5, 6, and 10 years down the road. We've done some lease back work in the past. It's not been the most effective for us from a financial standpoint, because I can't write any of that off from a tax perspective. So we are looking ahead. We have been talking with private industry. We will make some decisions probably 2 or 3 years down the line, because again, I've got to get the short-term finances straightened out in this organization first. But rest assured, we're working with private industry on this.
Okay, let me ask you, and again, I thanks when you came to my office a couple months ago. First, I want to say thank you for recognizing, you know, Alaska is unique, and we had a conversation about universal service or service for all areas, and as you know, we've written you a letter regarding 5-day service. I recognize you need flexibility. But my big concern is, how do you deal with areas very remote that may have flights coming in that have certain kind of supplies that comes in on certain days, and in rural Alaska, it may be Saturday is the day because the weather is good and some other issues. Can you give me first your thought on universal service and bypass mail, the combination of the two, and then how you will address rural communities and obviously in Alaska with 5-day versus what it is today. But first on universal and bypass mail comments.
Well, as you know, we are fully in support of our mission to provide universal service to the American public. Any changes that we would make, that still comes first and foremost. Service is in our name, and that's our mission. From a standpoint of how that ties into bypass, we realize how important the Postal Service is to not just the economy in Alaska like it is to the rest of the U.S., but people's livelihood and ability to get food and medicine. Right. And we also take that very seriously. And I think our people up there do a really good job making sure that the mail gets through every day. Your point about the delivery and the discussion around Saturday is something that we have been looking at. We've had some comments from a number of people from different parts of the country about, what do you do going forward? Our proposals are delivery flexibility, and it's just that. We think for the most part that we would make the changes, and Saturday would be the day. But there's some weeks during the year that we don't deliver mail on Monday. We are thinking of maybe delivering on Monday in some of those cases. And in the case of Alaska and in the case of Hawaii, if there's some provisions that we've got to work with you, just like you said, there's no clouds on a Saturday, the mail's got to get through that day. We have to be flexible with that too. That's why we've used the term delivery flexibility and not just elimination, okay? We want to work because we realize it is our responsibility to provide that service. And
lastly, because my time is about to expire, what is your, or how will you be engaging stakeholders? And again, like in the case of rural Alaska versus Anchorage or Fairbanks, but going out to rural, how will you engage them on this schedule flexibility?
Well, one of the things we did last year, we spent some time, and of course we could do that again as we move towards changes that we would be getting out of the passage of the Post Act. We would engage customers the same way we do as we change post office access points. We're going through a process right now where we're looking at small post offices. We're actually mailing out and inviting people in to talk to us. We would do the same thing. We'd listen to the customers who receive the mail and the customers who send the mail. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just want to agree with you on the pension issue. I think that is a critical #1 issue, and I'm very supportive, as you and I have had this conversation about. So thank you. I think you're doing a good job there. Thanks. Mine is just a clarification and then just a statement. On I caught what you had said to Senator Pryor regards to 30 miles or within. As you know, in Alaska, 80% of our area is non-road access. So I'm assuming that's part of the equation. Sure. Okay, because when we did Essential Air Service, there was a great debate that we would cut off Essential Air Service because you can get to a hub, to the next hub. Well, in many cases, it's hundreds and hundreds of miles away and no road to get there. Right. So you recognize that as an important. We absolutely. Again, okay. Alaska presents a situation with universal service that, similar to Hawaii, those are the two states that really we have to take a different look as we work through that. Great. And just a statement, as you send out notifications to folks, I know everyone gets mail, they get material in the mail, and they don't really pay attention to it until something bad happens, and then they go, I didn't realize that was happening. In more of just jest, I mean, I would send out your postcard and it would say, closing your post office. And I guarantee you, you will get 100% engagement. And otherwise, if it's just a regular, we're notifying you of the post office situation and change in operation, here's what will happen. They'll look, they'll set it aside, they'll pull the catalog and sit down and read their catalog for the day. Maybe we'll use the QR code. Click here to find out what's going on with your post office. I will just tell you, Mr. Chairman. If anybody complains, though, I'm going to tell them that you gave me the idea. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I'll just give you one quick example. I was invited to a meeting when I was mayor,
and it was about a land use issue. Of course, no one was going to come out probably for it. It was because it was so many months away. So the flyer they sent out to the neighborhood was, come learn about how your taxes are going up. And the room had, full capacity. And the two local city council members came in and said, you're up front, we're not. And then we talked about land issues, and people were like a little confused, but they got fully engaged.
Well, thank you for using the mail, too. We appreciate that.
They did. And they hand-delivered it on top of that.
There you go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to make some general comments, and first, just because we have a vote and we're tight on schedule, but first I want to thank all of you, and I think there is a recognition between the last panel and this panel, and I think I'm going to use your words to right-size the post office for the times that we're in today, and that's a challenge, and I think the bill that Senator Carper has brought forward is a good step. There's obviously tweaks that need to be done. Matter of fact, Mr. Strong, I was in Healy, Alaska not long ago meeting with the postmasters. It was an interesting, they had no conference room, so they had to do the meeting in a restaurant bar, which I thought was very appropriate because we had great discussion of a lot of issues at lunchtime. But what was good was they talked about, especially in rural Alaska, the importance of the postmaster and how that is a critical piece of the puzzle. So I just want to really say to all of you that you'll find me a partner in trying to solve this problem. I can tell you on the pension issue, I have dealt with this when I was mayor. We had 3 pension programs, police and fire. 2 were overfunded, 1 was underfunded, and we restructured it. End result, the city no longer had to pay a payment because we restructured it. The employees became more satisfied with the long-term benefit that they received. It was a win-win all the way around, and they were highly unionized police and fire folks, but we figured it out. It was painful getting there, to be very frank with you, but at the end of the day, we figured it out, and the cash flow worked out better. So I think the approach, again, Mr. Chairman, that you're taking is the right approach. I think there's going to be some work to do, and that's why this hearing was good to kind of hear from you, kind of some of the issues you had on the table. So thank you for what you're doing. I will just end with this comment. My son and I like having him collect stamps because there's history behind each stamp, and we get to read about it at night. And last Thursday, went to the post office website, ordered some first day edition stamps, and they came on Monday. When you think about that, that shows the efficiency that you had to organize it, package it, put it in, deliver it, and we got it. And that's just an amazing thing. Or a stamped envelope that I could send from here and get it out to a village in western Alaska is amazing. And so I credit the post office for great work, but we have challenges. And so again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to say a few words.
Yeah, great.